Is there something bigger than God? In the spiritual landscapes of our existence, the nature of God has been an enduring question. For centuries we have embraced the idea of an omnipotent deity, a divine architect orchestrating the universe with limitless power and wisdom. Yet, what if this notion, powerful as it is, captures only a fragment of a larger, more intricate reality? What if God, as we imagine, differs to a universal consciousness, a boundless field of awareness greater than God itself? Such an idea invites us to rethink the framework of divinity, evolution, and existence itself. The reimagined role of God. Imagine God not as the omnipotent ruler of all, but as a manifestation of divine wisdom within a more expansive universal mind. In this paradigm, God ceases to be the all-powerful micromanager and becomes an extraordinary expression of compassion, creativity, and intelligence, a vital yet finite force within an infinite sea of consciousness. This shift doesn't diminish God's importance. Rather, it transforms our understanding of what divinity represents. God becomes a luminous thread in the infinite tapestry of existence, uniquely radiant yet inherently connected to every other thread. Far from undermining the sacredness of God, this perspective reveals the divine as a collaborative entity, interwoven into the cosmic order rather than dominating it. Such a God operates within the natural rhythms of existence, influencing creation not through coercion, but by harmonizing with the currents of a universal consciousness. Picture a gentle breeze that nudges leaves on a tree, suggestive and guiding, rather than a hurricane that forces its will. This God allows for free will, imperfection, and growth, embodying the evolving beauty of life rather than imposing a static ideal. The greater ocean, universal consciousness. If God is but a current in the infinite ocean of existence, then the ocean itself is the universal consciousness. This consciousness is not confined to a singular form or being, but permeates all that exists. It is the animating essence of every particle, the intelligence behind cosmic laws, and the silent witness to all creation. It operates as the fundamental essence from which all things emerge and into which all things dissolve. The universal consciousness transcends boundaries. It exists in the dance of galaxies and the hum of atoms, in the flicker of a star and the bloom of a flower. It is the connective tissue binding all life, transcending duality and imbuing the universe with coherence and purpose. Unlike traditional depictions of God, which often focus on separation, creator versus creation, this consciousness emphasizes unity. It does not dominate existence. It is existence. In this framework, God serves not as the ultimate creator, but as one of many dynamic manifestations of this overarching consciousness. God becomes the voice of love, wisdom, and guidance within the greater story, while the universal consciousness remains the story itself, unfolding eternally in every dimension of space and time. Implications for humanity and spirituality. If we are to consider the existence of a universal consciousness greater than God, what does this mean for us as conscious beings? At the most profound level, it implies that we, too, are expressions of this cosmic awareness. Each of us is a wave in the great ocean, a unique yet interconnected form of divine energy. This realization offers a profound sense of unity. The separateness that often defines human experience, me versus you, human versus nature, physical versus spiritual, all dissolves when viewed through the lens of universal consciousness. We are not disparate fragments in an indifferent universe. We are interconnected facets of a living, breathing whole. The role of free will and evolution. A God who exists within a universal consciousness allows for a cosmos that thrives on evolution and experimentation. In this dynamic system, free will becomes not a contradiction to divine control, but an essential aspect of it. The universe is a co-creative endeavor where God and all conscious beings participate in shaping reality. If God is not all-powerful, it could fundamentally change our understanding of the divine. A non-omnipotent God might only be able to intervene in the world to a certain extent, potentially leading to a more nuanced understanding of divine providence. This could imply a more collaborative relationship between God and humanity, with God inspiring and guiding humans rather than controlling their actions or physically rescuing those in trouble. A non-omnipotent God might be more relatable and vulnerable, allowing for a deeper sense of empathy and connection with humanity. Pain, suffering, and imperfection take on new meanings in this context. They are not punishments or flaws in creation, but opportunities for growth and deeper awareness. The imperfections of the world become the soil in which consciousness grows, evolves, and blooms. Similarly, evolution, whether biological, spiritual, or cosmic, becomes an expression of the universal mind exploring itself. God, as an entity within this framework, serves as a guide and collaborator in this evolutionary process, helping to direct the flow of consciousness toward greater unity, love, and understanding. Why is there human suffering? Human suffering, particularly the suffering of innocent children, such as children who are abused or have cancer, is a profound challenge to many spiritual and philosophical frameworks. Here are some possible perspectives on how human suffering might fit into our discussion. The problem of evil. The existence of human suffering, especially in cases of innocent children, raises the classic problem of evil. If God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good, why does evil exist? This paradox has puzzled theologians, philosophers, and spiritual seekers for centuries. A non-interventionist God. One possible perspective is that God is not an interventionist deity who micromanages the universe. Instead, God might be a guiding force, allowing human free will and the natural order of the universe to unfold. This perspective acknowledges that human suffering is a tragic consequence of human choices and the natural world. The role of human free will. Human free will is another crucial factor in understanding human suffering. If humans have the capacity for self-awareness, choice, and action, then we must also acknowledge that our choices can lead to harm and suffering. This perspective emphasizes the importance of personal responsibility, compassion, and empathy in mitigating human suffering. A couple of solutions. To go back to our children with cancer or other serious or terminal illnesses example, here are a couple of so-called solutions that don't include free will or evil. One is that the reward for this kind of suffering is eternity in heaven. A second is that in terms of reincarnation, this short life of childhood suffering was but one of many lives that had preceded this life, and then one of many, presumably more hopeful, future lives to come. The universal consciousness perspective. From the perspective of a universal consciousness, human suffering might be seen as a manifestation of the universe's own evolution and growth. This perspective acknowledges that the universe is constantly unfolding and that human suffering is an inherent part of this process. However, it also suggests that human consciousness has the capacity to transcend suffering, to find meaning and purpose in the midst of adversity. The mystery of suffering. Ultimately, human suffering remains a profound mystery that may be beyond human comprehension. It is a challenge that has puzzled spiritual seekers, philosophers, and theologians for centuries. Perhaps the most we can do is approach this mystery with humility, compassion, and an open heart, acknowledging that our understanding is limited and that the truth may be far more complex and nuanced than we can imagine. Practical pathways to connection. If universal consciousness is the ultimate reality, how do we, as individuals, connect with it? The practices of mindfulness, meditation, and introspection take on profound significance. These practices are not merely tools for relaxation, but doorways into the infinite. They quiet the noise of the ego, allowing us to attune ourselves to the subtler frequencies of the universal mind. Through deep contemplation, we can begin to perceive the interconnectedness of all things. In moments of stillness, we may feel the presence of this greater awareness, not as an external force, but as an intimate part of ourselves. This experience of unity, fleeting as it may be, reminds us of our true nature as both individual and universal, finite and infinite. The universal spirituality connecting all of us. The idea of a universal consciousness also reshapes our understanding of religion and spirituality. Instead of clinging to doctrines that emphasize division, my God versus your God, this path versus that path, we are invited to embrace a spirituality that is inclusive, expansive, and unifying. Every religion, every philosophy, every culture can be seen as a unique expression of the same underlying truth: the existence of a boundless consciousness that infuses all things. This perspective dissolves dogma and fosters compassion. If we are all part of the same universal field, then the well-being of one is inextricably linked to the well-being of all. Acts of kindness, forgiveness, and love become not just moral imperatives, but reflections of the universal consciousness at work within us. As these are the positive aspects of a universal consciousness, let us not forget the dark side, which may include fear, hatred, ignorance, despair, and apathy. Just as it is important to embrace the dark sides within ourselves, it is just as important to embrace the dark sides of a universal consciousness that some philosophers say travels along the birth, decay, and rebirth continuum. The cosmos as a mirror. In contemplating a universal consciousness greater than God, we are reminded of the mysteries and wonders of the universe itself. The cosmos becomes a mirror, reflecting the infinite creativity and intelligence of this greater awareness. From the spiraling arms of galaxies to the intricate patterns of DNA, we see evidence of a mind that is vast, intricate, and profoundly interconnected. And yet, this consciousness is not other. It is not out there somewhere removed from us. It is here, now, present in every breath, every thought, every moment. By opening ourselves to this awareness, we begin to glimpse the infinite within the finite, the eternal within the fleeting. Epilogue. Toward a new paradigm of divinity. What if God is not all-powerful? What if a universal consciousness greater than God holds the cosmos in its embrace? These questions lead us to a profound and transformative vision of existence. They invite us to move beyond the confines of traditional beliefs and embrace a spirituality that is dynamic, inclusive, and evolutionary. In this vision, God becomes not the ultimate power, but a luminous facet of an even greater reality. The universal consciousness, vast and mysterious, becomes the ground of all being, the eternal source from which everything arises and to which everything returns. And we, as conscious beings, find our place not as isolated entities, but as integral parts of this grand cosmic dance. By aligning ourselves with this greater awareness, we open the door to profound insights, deeper connections, and a sense of purpose that transcends the ordinary. We are not separate from the divine. We are participants in its unfolding, co-creators in the ever-evolving story of consciousness.